Coming to you from the City of Champions, otherwise known as Brockton, Mass., in the warehouse of the Granite City Electric studio.
So Wired is a podcast for electricians to get the latest up-to-date information from the Granite City Electric team.
We are business development reps.
And this is where you can hear the real behind-the-scenes stories from Granite City Electric employees and some of our customers.
So we're going to laugh a little bit, give you some great deals, new products, and a window into the lives and culture of our world at Granite City.
Welcome to Wired.
And welcome back to another wonderful episode of Wired. And this is part 2 of a 2-part series that we've been doing. We're going to have Phyllis Papani Godwin on again for a second part of the conversation. If you missed the first one, we would recommend that you
go back and watch
watch that first one so that you can hear some of the really awesome stories of Granite City, of the history of this company. So recommend you doing that. And as always, hit the like button. That helps us spread the word. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take a second, pause the video if you need to so that you can do that. And then we're going to dive into part 2 of our conversation with Phyllis.
And get your typing fingers ready for the comments.
Yeah, typing fingers.
Get your typing fingers ready for the comments because Phyllis has a question for you.
That's right.
This episode is brought to you by Square D by Schneider Electric. Life is on.
So welcome back into part 2 of our conversation with Phyllis Godwin Papani. I hope you really enjoyed the first episode. We left off talking about women in the industry and some of the struggles and the challenges that Phyllis was able to face coming up coming up through Granite City and all of her growth in that. And so, Chad, where'd you want to start?
Yeah, I'd just like to go back into where we kind of left off and what you had to face coming up in this industry that was definitely male-dominated and still is to an extent, but you were able to break through barriers in the New England area just as a business owner, as a CEO, and as a woman in this industry. What were some of the challenges that you faced? How were you able to overcome those? I mean, it's just a really incredible story to get into.
Well, it's always interesting for women or for any minority group to try to be part of an industry that is outside of their culture. But at NAED, I used to go to all the conventions starting in, I went to the convention sometimes with my parents back in the 50s.
Okay.
When I remember in the 1950s, I met my parents. The convention was in Atlantic City, and it was about 1956, and I was working at a consulting company in Philadelphia in marketing. So I remember going there, and I said, "Oh, I understand they're going to have a presentation on the topic was, is the jobber," they used to call us jobbers, is the jobber's role going to be on the way out? Is there still a role for the jobber? And I said to my father, I'm in marketing. I'd like to go and hear that. And he said, women aren't allowed to come to the meetings.
Wow.
But I think it's important for you to hear it. So we're going to put the lights down low, and you just come in the back, and then before the meeting is over, just quietly leave. And so that's the way it was in the 1950s. But even in the 1970s and 80s, when I took over, it wasn't an awful lot different. And I used to go to all of the conventions, and I was always the only woman. And one day, I had an epiphany. I was watching the guys talk. We had a meeting, and we were going to break up until come back together that evening. And they were all talking and saying, let's go to lunch. I'll see you on the first tee. Let's play golf. Let's play tennis. And I went by myself into the ladies' room because I had the whole ladies' room to myself. and I thought to myself, that's not the way the world should be. Someday, when I have an opportunity, I want to be able to open all of this up for women so that we can do things together and we can learn from each other and we can help each other's business and we can help each other and we can have fun with each other. And I did have that opportunity. It came in two different ways. The biggest opportunity was not particularly in electrical. It was when I became the first chairman of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, which that was in 1995.
Wow.
And I remember standing up and saying to the group, my goal as chairman is I want to start a women's group. And I want to attract more women, business women, to the Chamber of Commerce. Because for years I was on the board, and I was the only woman on the board. And one of the guys said, you can't start a women's group. If you start a women's group, we have to start a men's group. And I said, you have a men's group, you have the world.
Wow.
And so I did start the WBC, which was called the Women's Business Connection. And our Chamber of Commerce has become so important, and we have attracted so many strong business women, and I've helped and mentored so many of them over the years. Now, in the electrical industry, we formed a group back in, it was in the early 2000s, called Women in the Electrical Industry. And we would have a meeting every year, and at first only, less than 100 women would come. But we invited manufacturers, too.
Okay.
And manufacturing is much better to women than distribution.
Wow.
And so we started this strong group called Women in the Electrical Industry, and every year they elect a woman called a Trailblazer, and I was the first Trailblazer.
Wow,
to be
that's
elected.
so cool.
And now we have some amazing Trailblazers. The CEO of Gray Bar, which is a huge, as a woman.
Yeah.
And Kathy
Wow.
Mazzarella.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Our first NAED chairman, Tammy, from Border States Electric, was a woman. And so every year we have elect a new female Trailblazer. So it's changing, but it's still slow.
Yeah.
And we could do a better job.
Yeah. Well, you really opened the door. It seems like going back to even the 50s, right? That you started working in the industry, and that's opened doors for other women in the future. So that's really cool.
Yeah, what an incredible story. Could you talk quickly about some of the successes that you've seen Granite City be able to achieve over the years, some of the milestones?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to celebrate milestones.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, some of the celebrations.
And apparently my father thought so too, because the first milestone we celebrated was in 1947, and we were celebrating 25 electric years. And there was this story that was in the Patriot Ledger with my father's picture, talking about Granite City opening. And what we were celebrating, not only 25 electric years, but the opening of a brand new location at 19 Quincy Avenue. And that's where we still are.
Wow, yeah.
And my father built that building, and he put together this wonderful little book called 25 Electric Years. And in it, there's a picture of the first. There are 12 people that worked at Granite City, and
Total.
and-
That's
yeah,
so cool.
Total. It was my father the office manager and one of the girls who did some of the typing, the counter guys, and Wally Glass, who did all the pricing by hand, and Johnny Houston, who was the
That's
outside
unreal.
salesman. So
And
it
what are
was,
they all wearing? Are they wearing suits
the,
in the front?
all the guys that work in the counter in the warehouse wore jackets to stay clean.
Okay.
And then the rest, the other.
The dress-
wore
the dress-
We're a little
suits
underdressed.
and ties.
I know.
Yeah.
The dress
So-
code was definitely different back then.
Oh, that was a big celebration in the Quincy.
Oh, okay,
the
yeah.
Quincy showroom was fabulous, all full of flowers and things.
Wow,
that
that's
people
cool.
had sent. So that was 25. Then we had another celebration for 50 electric years, and that was a smaller, more intimate celebration. But we were celebrating mostly my father.
Okay.
50. Then on our 75th anniversary, we had a big celebration in Boston, and we invited all our employees to come to Boston for the weekend and stay overnight and get all dressed up. And the girls were to wear evening gowns, and
Yeah.
the guys were to wear tuxedos. And we paid for them to rent tuxedos.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
Yeah, we paid for everything. And then we took pictures of everybody was like going to the prom.
Yeah.
With the
That's
everybody.
awesome.
And I have that picture book at home. That's another thing we should.
What a great moment.
Yeah. And so that was our 75 years. Then we had a big celebration. It was in 2006. And we were celebrating our first 100 million in sales.
Wow.
And so, that's when this picture was.
That's awesome. In the Patriot Ledger.
And we celebrated. We invited everybody in the company and a guest to come to Foxwoods for the weekend.
Wow.
And,
That's awesome.
Then we had a big party that night, and we gave presents to everybody, announced 5-year anniversaries, 10-year, 20, 25, and so forth. And it was just, we just had the best time
Yeah.
because
So
everybody
great.
was there and the company paid for it all. And
That's awesome.
so our next celebration, and that's where I need everybody's help, is going to be our 100th anniversary, and that will be year after next,
Yeah.
2023.
Coming up.
And and so I need to get a lot of feedback from everybody on how you think it's appropriate for us to celebrate.
Yeah, comment in the comment section below with an idea for Phyllis. And
Phyllis told you to do it, so
Yeah.
you got to do it.
Right.
Comment
Exactly.
below. Comment below with an idea for our 100th anniversary.
yeah, that's going to
It's
be
quite the milestone.
That really is. That's awesome. So 2 years away, correct? It's
Yeah, 2020.
2023. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So a question that I have for you is, why would you say that a contractor should use Granite City Electric supply? I mean, there's a
There are
lot of
so-
different reasons.
So
but
many reasons. One of the big reasons is that now we are large enough that we have the products and we have the inventory, the depth of inventory that they need right away. And I'm talking about jobs that where you need the inventory right away,
Yeah.
which is different from a job where you're quoting,
Right.
and then you get the inventory shipped to them. But what it is the culture of the company, because we're independent. We don't have to report to Wall Street like Rexel does,
Yeah.
or Sonepar, which is the biggest distributor in the world, and they do a good job for $25 billion in sales. but it's a different kind of culture where you're so customer intimate.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's not about efficiency as much as it's about customer intimacy. And for certain contractors, that's what they want. There
Yeah.
are contractors who don't care. Just give me the lowest price and I don't want anything else.
Yeah.
But they're not our customer.
Yeah.
No. And our customers want
The service.
they want a
and-
total package.
Yeah.
They want good inventory, good service, good prices, but nobody ever really asks about the price. If you've got it and you serve them and you give it to them when they need it and then you help them and you answer questions, that's really what they want. And I think being an independent is so different
Yeah.
from being owned by Wall Street.
And that goes back to even in the last episode where I had been hearing that we're responsive. Our sales team is quick to respond via email or picking up the phone, and that's a part of the culture is servicing our customers, making sure that they're getting the best service possible. So I think that's huge.
And it really is the best of both worlds. Like you said, we have the
Right.
reach to be able to get the products, get them where they need to be when they need to be there, but also to have that kind of small company feel where we're able to know our customers intimately. So it's the best of both worlds. That's a great way to put it.
You were going to ask about a personal achievement, I think.
Yeah, so I wanted to know and was curious some of the personal achievements that you've received in your time in the industry, maybe one or two that you were especially proud of. I know you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, and those are some great achievements. Were there any others that you were proud of that to receive?
Well, it was very interesting in my lifetime. I found very often I was a first woman.
Yeah.
Like a first woman, I joined a bank board, and this was a bank that never had a woman on the board, and women didn't go on bank boards then. I was on 3 different bank boards
Wow.
over the years, and I was the first woman in Quincy Rotary Club because my father was a great Rotarian. He was president of the club in 1952, and yet I remember one of the guys called me up once in the 80s and said, "Hey, Phyllis, we want Granite City to contribute to Quincy Rotary." And I said, "Look, Ken,
Look, Ken.
I'll contribute to Quincy Rotary if you let me be a member." And he said,
Yeah, Ken, take that, Ken.
That's right.
and he said, "Look, honey."
Oh, no, he didn't.
Come on, Ken. Ken, no, you didn't.
Ken, you're better than that.
"Look, honey," he said, "just send one of your salesmen."
No, he didn't. Did he really?
He did. Send one of your salesmen. And I said, "No, I don't want to send one of my salesmen. It should be me. I own
Yeah.
the company." And finally,
Ooh.
the Supreme Court mandated that women had to be members of Rotary Club. And so in 1987, I became the first woman
Wow.
of Quincy Rotary Club.
Wow. That's an
And
achievement.
because I remember one of the guys told me that when they were discussing it before, one of the guys stood up and said, "We'll never have a woman in this club over my dead body." He's dead.
Did you have anything to do with that?
And so, being a first woman is a slippery slope because you're paving the way for other women.
Yeah.
So you want to be on your best behavior. You don't want to make too many waves.
Yeah.
You just want to listen. You want to be a productive part of the group. But if you make too much of a fuss,
Yeah.
they'll say, "We never want one of them again."
Wow.
And so you have
That's
to be
incredible.
careful. And I was very conscious of that. As I said, I was the first woman on multiple organizations and boards. I was very conscious about paving the way for other women to follow me.
Yeah.
And that was important to me, and it happened.
Wow.
It did.
That's amazing.
That's really, really incredible. It's unbelievable the tone that they took that in those days towards a woman, though. Like, that would absolutely shock me, that was how you were spoken to in those settings, and for you to just keep plugging along and to break down barriers is really incredible. That's awesome.
We've learned a lot of lessons today.
No kidding. That's Ken.
Just
Man.
don't be Ken.
No, don't be Ken. And then you put him in his place anyway, because you were on the chamber anyways.
Well, I also found out that some of the problem was not only from men, but from other women too, because they weren't used to having a woman in authority, and they had to learn. I remember a customer came into the store, and she was having a bad problem in the showroom, and she said, "I want to speak to the owner." And so he said, "Okay." So they put me on the phone, and I picked up the phone, and I said, "Hello," and she said, "I want to speak to the owner, not to a woman."
Really?
So I thought, well, that's the way it was.
It was just a completely different
Yeah,
mindset.
It was, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's like Pogo said, we met the enemy, and the enemy is us.
Yeah. Wow, that's unbelievable. It was just a completely different mindset. So, I mean, good for you to really break that down. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well, a lot of it you just have to ignore, and you move on.
Yeah.
And you listen.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to watch some of these guys. They were sons of owners, and because the owners would only give it to their sons, not to their daughters, and they would be bragging about what a wonderful job they were doing, and I thought to myself, I wonder what they are doing, and then I would find out they weren't doing such a wonderful job after all, and some of them, their companies failed.
And so that's interesting too, because it even came from the parents too, that was the mindset.
Oh, no question.
That the parents wanted a son to give it to, and I mean, it worked out for everybody that you only had sisters, because those walls kind of had to be broken down in that way. So that's really cool. You brought some other stuff with you. Is there anything else that you wanted to show? I mean, I see some clippings and.
Well, this is something that is important. The Boston Business Journal does every year. They do a listing of the largest minority and women-owned companies in the area. And Granite City is number 2.
Wow, that's cool.
And we're always number 2, and which is good.
Yeah.
And so these should be in our archives.
Yeah.
And because we should be proud of it, that we are woman-owned.
Absolutely.
And we will continue to be woman-owned, because I'm very aware of the fact that I cannot die owning this company, so it's all in trust for my daughters.
Wow.
And it's protected so that when I die, which, should be not too far away, because now I'm almost 95. So
wow. Yeah, but you're unbelievable. You're like a spring chicken coming up the stairs,
Well, pretty old hen. but anyway, I do want to reassure you that we're, from a legal point of view, we're in very good, strong shape. The business will stay in the family.
That's great.
And it's very protected.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Trusts.
Yeah. No,
Phyllis, could you, for the employees or people who are part of the Granite City culture that don't, they're listening to these episodes and they're potentially just hearing of the rich history of Granite City Electric for the first time, maybe. Like, is there anything that you would want to say to them directly, to those employees or those who might be hearing of this for the first time?
Well, I hope that Granite City will provide all of you with a career path that is productive. And please know that because of the culture of this company, which is really based on the love of our customer and the humility that we all feel to be able to serve, that you are performing a service. And I think it's important to know that your job makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because you don't like to do something that is irrelevant
Right.
or part of a cog in a wheel.
Yes.
Every single person in this company is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always thought that our most important people in the days when we used to have switchboard operators,
Yeah.
I always thought that that girl that answered the phone was one of the most important people. And the second most important person was the truck driver who
Yeah.
was out there and delivering the goods and talking to the customers.
Yes.
And now it's a little less personal, but still, everybody in the company is making a contribution and is important. And I think that's critical to feel that way.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
That's a great message, because it's so true. I mean, that's what makes the company run, is the people that are behind it doing the work. That's great. Do you want it? Should we go right into the lightning round now?
Let's do it. Kick it off.
All right. So, Phyllis, couple of quick questions, just to let people get to know a little bit more about you. What is your favorite food?
Oh, well, that's not a problem. Because, first of all, I love most foods. But
Same.
because I'm 100% Italian,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'd have to say that pasta is my favorite food. Pasta in every way, with the best pasta,
Yep.
of course, is with my grandmother and my mother's
Oh.
Tomato sauce.
Yes.
But all pasta is wonderful.
And you were talking about earlier, too, growing up on the homemade pizzas and
yeah.
so, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite genre of music or a favorite band?
Well, I have to admit that I'm a classical music fan.
Wow.
And I love classical music, and I used to go to the symphony a lot
That's
with my
cool.
sister, who has Boston Symphony tickets. And I'm not very good with modern music, and even though one of my grandsons, my grandnephew, is into a lot of rap and things, I don't understand. And my favorite, I grew up with Frank Sinatra, so
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Serenading.
yeah.
Fly me
But
to the moon.
and I loved I loved the Beatles, and I still love the Beatles.
Yeah.
But after that,
You've soured a little bit on.
Things have
on music
gone
since
downhill since then, yeah. And you went to school for music, correct? Did you do music in school? Did you say that earlier? Did you had music in your family, right?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh well, my father played clarinet and
Okay.
sax, and my sisters and I played violin and
Wow, that's
piano.
awesome. Okay.
And we had a family orchestra, which was pretty horrible. It was 2 violins, 1 piano, and 1 clarinet. And because my father only knew marches, because he
Yeah.
played in the army
Yeah.
band, and we would play Stars and Stripes forever.
Forever, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we play marches.
That's so funny. He plays the guitar.
I do, yeah.
And
Really?
and your dad plays the guitar and your mother plays the piano.
Yeah, we have a very musical family, my brothers, and yeah.
Oh, music is so important
That's
in
beautiful.
your life.
Yeah.
And it is. You can't have a life without music.
No,
I also
that's
recorded a
great.
rap album, which you should not listen to. You should not listen to that.
That was in your high school days.
Definitely don't listen to that.
Well, my grandnephew, his name is Nicholas Palmer. He's into all this. Oh, and I went to visit him once, and we went to one of these concerts, and
It didn't go well.
well, I love him,
Yeah.
and he's very talented.
Yeah.
And I love what he composes and what he does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't speak to me.
Yeah, no.
That's what my grandmother said.
It doesn't pull on your heartstrings.
When I played the album for my grandmother, she said,
It doesn't.
I love you,
But not this.
but not this.
That's awesome. All right. So the next question is, what is the best vacation you've ever been on, or your favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Gee, that seems like another life because we don't travel much anymore.
Seriously.
I know.
really.
I know.
No. Well, with COVID, and then now that I'm so old. But I'll tell you, I used to love to travel. I like the Mediterranean
Yeah.
and Europe, and I've taken some wonderful cruises on very small ships that go to all the little ports in the Mediterranean.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it. But then, of course, I love Italy, too.
Yeah.
And I used to say if I ever go to Italy again, I might not ever leave. But I would.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool.
So, Phyllis, you've been kind enough to join us on this podcast. I'm hoping I know the answer to this question before I ask it, but do you have a favorite podcast that you listen to?
Yeah, maybe.
No, my
Maybe-
favorite podcast is something called Wired.
Oh, nice. You made it.
That's what we were really hoping for.
It's a great podcast. And
Especially this one. This one is going to beat the ones that are just us. That's
I
for
would
sure.
recommend it to everybody to listen to Wired.
I like it.
Wow.
So before we completely conclude, do you have anything that you'd like to say to our customers or just the people that are listening to this podcast?
I just have such great love and respect for electrical contractors who are our major customers. And I remember talking to them when I was running the company, and they would work so hard, and I'd look at their hands, and their hands would be darkened and calloused, and I would think, you guys are just amazing. You do. And I think it's really hard to be, because I don't know how to ever wire a house. As a matter of fact, I don't know an awful lot about product.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we do with all of these things that we sell. But I have such respect and admiration for the guys who use it and do it.
Yeah.
And I say, bless you. We are just honored to be able to be part of your life.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, it's been a real honor and a privilege for us to have you on our
really
podcast.
has been. It really has been. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
taking the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah, I'll come again.
All right. Well,
Part 3.
till the next time. Thank you, Phyllis, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like this podcast,
Or even if you didn't.
very true, please remember to like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all our upcoming episodes.